everyone, so over on Instagram, because it's just the easiest place to ask to keep anonymity, I asked y'all to throw out any situation that you needed some advice on. I got a lot of great questions. They fell into mostly two camps: relationship advice or parenting advice. I am going to do my best to get through them as quickly as possible because I have a tendency to go on and on and on. I also want to point out that my approach to answering these questions is if you are a girlfriend of mine and we are just hanging out on my couch, having a beverage, I have some hot cider here, and I'm just giving you my opinion. As Tamra Judge most famously said on the Real Housewives of Orange County, it's just my opinion. So take this with a grain of salt. Hopefully this will help some of you, and it's just a different perspective maybe than the way you are looking at things. So the first question I got was, how do you keep your long-term relationship with your husband fresh and romantic and not feel like roommates? Well, here's the thing. I feel like Hollywood has really done us a disservice in the way that they portray marriage, because I think all these rom-com movies make especially younger people think that there's never disagreement, that every day is like Valentine's Day, and that's not normal. The level of energy that would take to sustain that every day, it's unrealistic. I mean, most of the time, at the core, at the very base of it, you are in fact roommates. So you should at least think about, are you being a good roommate? But hopefully, there is more of a connection than that. Hopefully you're also married to your best friend, your lover, the person you're co-parenting with in many situations. So I would say there are going to be days where you do just, I don't know if you feel like roommates, but that you are just getting through the day. And then there are going to be hopefully more days where you are having fun and you're laughing or you're sharing a moment of great intimacy. But every day isn't going to be like that. I think you just have to have different expectations. I would say it's hopeful that more days are up here than down here, but it's not realistic. You're going to have days where you're cranky and you start fights and you poke and make your partner uncomfortable or upset. And the flip side's going to happen to you as well. And then there's going to be hopefully more days than not that things are more positive. But life is cyclical. And I think from what I hear, it's totally normal to have moments of more of a trough than a peak. And it's okay. But if you want an idea on how to keep things fresh and romantic, instead of thinking about what your partner can do for you to make that happen, because you can't control another person, think about what you can do for them to make it fresh and romantic. Take that on yourself. And you may find if you initiate that, it will be reciprocated and then some. Let's go to a parenting question. I got a lot of stuff on how do you parent teenagers. That could be a whole video series. A lot of it was about parenting boys, teens in general, my rules versus their independence. How do you navigate it? This is tricky. If there's one thing I've learned is that you can't tell someone how to parent their kids. It's not received well, even when they ask. And every situation is different, and every child is different. But generally, what I've kind of learned after pretty much gotten through, I have 6 months left of being the parent of a teenager, is this the hill you want to die on? It just seems like some things in the moment seem like such a big deal. And then in hindsight, not so much. I think I've learned, looking back, that while it's easier to step in and save your child from making a mistake, as long as it doesn't threaten their life or really negatively impact their future, let them suffer through their little failures and figure it out. I think we all as a generation, and I'm including myself in here, we weren't raised with our parents doing everything for us. We didn't have our parents watching over every move we made. The world was a different place, of course. We hear that every generation. But I find that this generation isn't quite as resilient and as independent in general. I'm not specifically talking about my kids, but in general than ours. And I think it's because we are that much more present in their lives because of technology than generations previously. going off on a tangent here, but I would generally say pick a few hard and fast rules, at least that you think you have at the outset with your kids. Communicate very clearly with them. And then everything else, you kind of just have to take it as it comes and decide, is this really worth the battle? What am I giving up here? That's not really a great answer, I know, but there's just no one size fit all answer for getting through the teenage years. Like, there's just, you just want them to be safe, like at the end of the day, be hard and firm on things that will affect their physical safety, their mental safety, the safety of their future. Everything else, like an outfit that they want to wear that you don't like, pick your battles. And I got another one very similar. Dating, what age? I'm not ready for this. Okay, this person asking has a 16-year-old child. I'm not ready for this. It's not about you. I mean, it is perfectly normal for a 16-year-old person to want to date. Now, how you define what dating looks like is different. As far as, are they alone with them in a home? Are they allowed to go out like to the movies or to dinner? That's assuming we're not in like 2020 pandemic times. Define dating, but just because you're not ready for something, it's really not about you. You were able to grow and mature through your adolescence. You have to let your child do the same. You can't hold them back. But again, I'm not going to tell you should let your 16-year-old do whatever they want as far as dating goes. Like, as a family, you should discuss what you're comfortable with, but to keep them from interacting with their love interest, I mean, I think the more you forbid something, the more they're going to want to find a way to do it behind your back. So have a discussion with your child. Ask them how they define dating, because you may be thinking over here, they're thinking over here. So open and honest communication can definitely help you get through that situation. Okay, here's a doozy. How do you handle politics with other relatives who feel differently than you do? Well, that's a 2020 kind of question, isn't it? Like, this never crossed our minds until, let's say, 2016. I've had that problem, relatives and friends. I think we all have friends on Facebook we've had to mute. I think you have to look at it as, you don't have to agree on politics. We shouldn't agree on politics, because that would make us, a one-party state, and we all like march in the same line, and nobody really wants that. So I think the issue is, it's not that you have a problem because the person believes differently than you. It's that the person, whether it's a family member or friend, is that the person doesn't respect that you can feel differently and still care for them. So if this person really means something to you, if it's family, if you love them, a friend, first you just have to be really clear with them and say, listen, I love you, I care about you, we think differently, that's okay. I'm not going to change your mind, you're not going to change mine, and I don't want to. Let's not bring this up. It shouldn't matter. Our relationship is not about what party we belong to or what team we're rooting for. If they can't respect that, that's more of a respect issue than where their belief system is. Then, you have another discussion. Look, I want to be with you. I want to spend time with you, but, we're not going to talk about this. And if you can't respect that, then we have a bigger problem. Again, it just all comes down to communication. That's someone that you interact with on a regular basis. If it's a Facebook friend and they're just annoying the you-know-what out of you, just mute them or snooze them or whatever and move on. This too shall pass. It's not worth losing friendships or family members over something that probably isn't going to matter in another 2 years or 4 years or whenever. A couple of easier ones, and a little bit funny, I think. Someone said, my 34-year-old daughter wants us to pay for her second wedding. What are my thoughts? Hell no. No. I am assuming you already paid for the first one. Even if you didn't, this is clearly a person well into their adulthood, and my concern really is if your daughter is so demanding that she expects you to pay for her second wedding, I would be more concerned about her decision-making in general. Like, I'm going to say I'm a little concerned about the future of the second marriage. Just that her fiance is on board with that is kind of troubling. So I mean, it's up to you what kind of relationship you want to have with your daughter, because saying no may really upset her and she may cut you out, but no. And of course, you can say that with love. We love you, we're excited for you, but we just did not plan for to have to pay for more than one wedding. You had one, and maybe a second wedding shouldn't be the level that you need somebody to pay for it. Maybe it's a little more appropriate to have a smaller scaled down occasion. And that should be something you and your fiance should be able to handle on your own. Thoughts regarding undeserving people who are seemingly blessed. This person is struggling with seeing other people who they think don't deserve good things in their life having like everything, and they feel, I guess, like they don't have what these people have. First of all, you really don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. You have no idea if they're truly undeserving. You don't know what struggles are going on when you're not there, what's going on in their home, in their families, etc. You just do not know. So that's number one. Number two, that's really more of a problem that you have than the other people. There are always going to be people who seem to have everything. What makes you the person who gets to decide who's deserving of something and who isn't? I think that's more of a reflection of how you are looking at the world, and you need to, I think, start a gratitude journal would be my guess. That's my advice anyway, is I think you need to take a hard look at what you have, and even if you feel like you are struggling right now, take a look at what you do have and what the positive things are in your life. And you need to realize that even at a time when you are really feeling down and really struggling, there is somebody else in this world who is struggling more and who feels like you are the goal. There's always going to be somebody who has more stuff, who has a nicer relationship, who drives a better car, who has a bigger house, who might be prettier, thinner, whatever. But on the flip side, you're going to be that person to somebody else. So instead of looking to other people and looking at what they have, look inside you and look at what you have. Not just material, but your health, friends in your life, the roof over your head. You are not without your own worth. And at the end of the day, who are you to say who deserves something and who doesn't? This is kind of funny. Have you always liked the people that your sons have dated? Yeah, yes. I can't imagine what it would be like if I didn't. I guess my advice would be, obviously your child loves that person or cares very deeply for that person. So if you love your child, then by extension, you should find a reason to not love. I mean, if they're like 16, whatever, but to get along with or find some redeeming qualities in the person that they are dating. What's starting to kind of direct my thoughts is that I'm realizing that I'm almost the same age my mother-in-law was when she first met me, when I first started dating Michael. And so now I'm starting to understand what it looked like from her point of view, because back when we were 21 when we started dating. I thought she was much older, like, oh God, and wiser and just had it all together. And I'm realizing that, I mean, yes, to some degree, but she must have felt the same insecurities that I feel. And do they like me? And do they want to spend time with me? And you don't know. You don't know. As the parent of someone who's dating, you don't have any clue on how to navigate a dating relationship any more than the young person. So now I'm learning to empathize, like to just flip it around, to put yourself in the other situation. Do you remember what it was like when you were 16, 17, 18, or what, dating your now husband and meeting their parents for the first time, and like all the nervousness that you felt? And so I'm now trying to look at it from their perspective a little bit more. I mean, we get along just fine. I adore Shane's girlfriend, but it's funny. Like, you get a different look on the world. And I'm like, oh, a lot of moments like, oh. So when it comes back to the question, what do you do basically if you don't really care for your son or daughter's significant other? try to put yourself back in that position and what it was like. And that may help you find a way to navigate the relationship so that you can get along. Okay, this is one that I saw a lot in different variations, but generally the same wording. I have small kids and almost no help. Our marriage is on the edge. When does it get better? And how to deal with it. So it's hard. Parenting full-time with no job and, outside the home and little kids is physically exhausting. And then if you're also working outside the home on top of that, it's a lot. My gut is to tell you, look at why you married your husband in the first place. There had to be more than one really good reason. Try to reconnect with that. It's stressful when you're not sleeping well. Parenting young children, it's a very physically demanding thing. You have to be on. Like, you can't just let them go do whatever while you're playing with the computer or working, or you have to be engaged, especially now, if your children are doing remote learning. I mean, I can't even imagine navigating what's going on right now. And it takes its toll on a relationship for sure. The physical draining part of being a parent is less so as they get older. So there is that. But my advice is not to wait until it passes. My advice is to try to reconnect with your spouse the way it was before the kids came. You have to actively try to be a better spouse, even if you feel like they're the one that's doing everything wrong. If you take it on yourself, it's kind of that concept is you get back what you put out into the world. So put it out there, be the better spouse, so to speak, and hopefully that will come back to you. I'm assuming you've already tried speaking to your spouse. Sometimes guys, especially, they need to know exactly what you want them to do. Like, don't just say, I need help with the kids. I can't do this all by myself. Like, tell him exactly what you need help with. Look, by the time it's bath time, I've reached my limit. I can't take anymore. Can you please take over bath time? Or, whatever it is. I think that not just men, I mean, it's a stereotype, but most people like a specific directive. I need you to do this. This would help me if you did that. Just clear communication is always going to be the best way to go. And if you get into an argument and you both are getting nasty about it, are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you stressed? People say horrible, hateful things during all of those situations. So try to keep that in mind and just keep the talking going and tell your spouse, I'm really struggling here. This is what's going on. And I need your help with this. We're in this together. We're a team. We've got to come out of this a team. That's my advice to you. I don't have like this pithy, cute little answer I can give you, but hopefully some of those tips will help. All right, I'm going to finish with this. I'm getting a lot of questions on how to remain optimistic in this chaotic world. How do I stay motivated and positive? How do I stay positive? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. First of all, I did do a video on how to be happy now. I'll link there and there. I really think at the end of the day, it's a choice. You can choose to have a positive outlook or you can choose to just wallow. We all have those friends we all have one that they love being the victim. They love basically living as if they're in a country western song. We call them Eeyore. Everything, how are you? Oh, how was your day? Oh, it wasn't good. How are the kids? Oh, let me tell you what the kids did. They never have anything positive to say. And I think people just get into a pattern and stick with it. It's the same as people you meet who are always positive. How are you doing? Everything's great. What's up? Oh, let me tell you about this, that, and this. They've gotten used to being in that pattern of being optimistic and positive, and it's easy to stay in that pattern. So I think the choice is yours. Do you want to be sad and upset and pessimistic, or do you want to look for the positive? Now, I say that as if that is an easy, just light switch moment, and then you just get on with your life. It's going to take some work to change the pattern or to even keep that pattern up. So it has to be a conscious decision of, I keep referring to a gratitude journal. It helps to write things down and see things in writing. Say things out loud. Make the conscious decision to look for the brighter side. It's going to take a little while before that becomes habit, but I truly believe that it can be. Now, does that mean that you can't have an off day? Of course not. I mean, I don't have bluebirds singing around me all the time. You get a day, you wallow in it, and then as they, what was that movie, Moonlight? You snap out of it, or whatever, that Cher movie. Snap out of it. But if you find that you can't, that you are stuck in this dark, blue, sad mindset, then it might be something you can't snap out of on your own. And there is nothing wrong with finding a professional person to talk to. In fact, I think it's great. So if you really find that you are stuck and you just can't get yourself in a positive state of mind, go get some help. Call a hotline. Try one of the online apps that they have now. Call your general doctor and get a referral. Call your priest, your rabbi, your religious leader. There are a lot of places, many of them free, that will help you get there. Because sometimes you're not going to snap out of it on your own. And that is okay too. And you need to know that. There's nothing wrong with getting some help. Nobody goes through life in a little bubble by themselves. We're always helping someone else and we're always getting help from someone else. And that is 100% okay and normal. All right, this got pretty deep, pretty fast. I thought this was gonna be a little more lighthearted and fun, but you know, at the end of the day, I hope some of this helped somebody who's struggling with a situation like this. If I didn't answer your question, I am sorry. This video is already probably pretty long. By all means, feel free to send me a direct message and I will try to help you there. I have all the questions, so I will try to reply to them individually because I don't want you to think that I'm not thinking about you or that I didn't see your question, but there were a lot of them. Thank you to everyone who submitted your questions. I hope I was helpful. And because it's daily December, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.